I want to cut across to our other guests joining me, Dushyant Dave, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, Aman Lekhi, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, Swapnil Kothari, Senior Lawyer, Supreme Court. Swapnil Kothari, I think, you just heard Dr. Ashwini Kumar. We had the defense lawyer, former ASG before that. Why do you think this judgment, because you seem to believe that this judgment is a very fair judgment, what are your arguments?
Good evening. I firmly believe that this judgment is a fair one. You cannot treat what Gurmeet Singh did of Dera Sacha Sauda with what Sharjeel Imam and
But we're not treating that, Mr.
Umar
Kothari.
Khalid.
That's just, nobody's, okay, let's not compare the two. Let's just talk about this case and where Article 21 is concerned, where his presumption of innocence comes into question, where prolonged incarceration without trial, without the framing of charges comes into question.
Right.
Does it somewhere down the line challenge what is the principle of criminal law, which is the presumption of innocence?
Well, if you let me complete my point,
Ahead,
I just wanted to, I'm doing it for the benefit of the viewers, as you would appreciate, so that they understand the distinction between what one is on parole, where he's a convict. I do not agree with so many paroles and furloughs granted to him any which ways. But as far as coming to this case is concerned, Preeti, the point is that there is Article 21, but 43D5 of the UAPA is very clear that if there is a prima facie case, and the prosecutorial evidence suggested that there was a prima facie case, so obviously the bail cannot be granted. Bail is the rule and jail is the exception. But as far as the UAPA is concerned, which is a draconian law, which is a draconian legislation, and precisely why we need to have such legislations, because when you try to divide the country, when you try to attack the sovereignty and the unity of this country, when you try to do rasta roko, when you try to see to it that the essentials are not being given or should not be given, when you try to create some sort of a disharmony between religions and all of those things, and if there is evidence pointing to that fact, then there is definitely a case that is made out before the court of the land, and the Supreme Court clearly pointed out that, yes, these two have to be treated. Yes, and one of the points that you raised was a very valid point, Preeti, that if they are collectively tried, then how is it that the punishment is different? But obviously the criminal intention, and let me put a very simple example for the benefit of your viewers. Say, for example, if I hide a criminal, potential murderer in my house, and I tell him that you wait here for an hour and you'll have your victim in the next 1 hour coming in the opposite building. And I hide him, he actually goes out after an hour and he murders. So I become an accessory before the fact. So my criminal intention is only to the extent of shielding. But the one who actually committed the murder, so the gravity of the offense is more.